نادي عليا مظهر العجائب.
Should we just start?
Okay.
I think so. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا مولانا حبيب الله العالمين أبو القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين ولعنة الله على القوم الظالمين من الأولين والآخرين إلى يوم الدين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum to all of you guys, to everyone listening. Big salam to the guys here right now. Let's get started with the Nahjal Balagha book club. Today is the 6th session. Super happy to be here, alhamdulillah. Today we've got 5 more interesting sayings from Nahjal Balagha. Something I really like nowadays is when I read Nahjal Balagha, I'm actually thinking, what points would you guys be interested in, or what sayings can I learn from by mentioning it to this group? So I'm really grateful that you guys are all like a collective voice in the back of my mind, like a voice of all of your voices in one. And I'm thinking of you when I'm reading Nahjal Balagha. So that's a really thing I'm really grateful for, alhamdulillah. And I mentioned to a friend of mine how much I appreciate this group, and he said to me, why? And I said that you guys sometimes mention points that other groups don't even think of because you're looking at everything from your own perspective, and it's a very useful perspective, and we can all learn from it. So carry on reading, carry on studying, carry on engaging. You guys are doing things the right way, alhamdulillah, and I'm very proud of you. Now then, today we have a mission which I set for you last week, and I have an idea in my mind of what the next mission could be. But before we get to the mission, and before we get to the sayings, and before we get to next week, let's have a quick check-in and see if everyone's well. Now, I have an idea. See, before we started, I was seeing how you're doing, and I got some very good news from one of you about something cool that you've done. So here's what I'm going to ask all of you. I would like to ask you if you have achieved something recently which you'd like to share, or there's something which you're trying for, which you want to achieve, which you feel comfortable sharing with us. So I'll start with Abdullah, because Abdullah, you had some good news. So firstly, Abdullah, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Why don't you say again, what is your good news for this week that you've got your achievement?
Yesterday in my madrasa, we had an MUS test, and there were 50 questions, and I got one wrong out of all of them.
But you did really well. 49 out of 50 is like astronomical numbers. What percent is that? 98?
Yeah, every question was 2 marks. So.
Which makes sense. My goodness. Well done you. Great achievement. And if you don't have something like that, but you have something which you want, it doesn't have to be an exam, feel free to share, inshallah.
Can I share something that I'm trying to work up to?
Of course you can.
So I'm trying out because when before lockdown, my handwriting used to be really neat, but in lockdown, like the first lockdown, I completely lost all of my handwriting skill.
Dude.
And it looked like a grade 1.
It's okay, but you're practicing now, right?
Yeah, my teacher says it's neater than before lockdown, but I don't think it is.
Well, what are you like writing more to get back up to speed, or are you working on your technique? Have you got a plan?
I just use like a sentence like for fluency, and then I just keep repeating it.
Well, inshallah, good luck for that, and we look forward to hearing your feedback of how you get on with your writing, inshallah. I'm going to go down in alphabetical order. So Amina, assalamu alaikum. Amina? Have we lost Amina? Oh no.
I think she may be coming. I think she went to another room.
Why don't you go to her room and tell her, well, if you know she's coming, it's fine. I'll go to you first. And Khadija, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. How are you?
I'm good. I was about to give you like a really like cheeky thing you could do to get her attention, but I don't want to feed your curiosity in that way. You know, I don't want to encourage you to misbehave with your older sister. So, I encourage good behavior for younger siblings to older siblings all across the land. Khadija, have you got an achievement which you have done, which you are grateful for, or something which you're trying to get, which you not got but you want to get?
Well, I've been learning Arabic with my sisters for quite a while now, and it's like in books and things, in separate books. So my goal is to try and reach the next book, inshallah.
Inshallah. Which is it, the Al Madina book? Which book is it?
Yeah, Al Medina, I think.
That's amazing. Well, good luck. So you done book one.
Well, almost finished book one.
Okay, well, good luck with book one. I think there's an assessment at the end, or like a question, like some questions for the last chapter. I don't know.
Yeah, I think so.
But when you get there, good luck for you. Inshallah, you do amazing, and good luck for book two as well when it gets better.
Thank you.
Inshallah. Amina, are you with us now?
Walaikum assalam. Sorry, I
Alaikum
was just having issues.
That's okay. We did miss you though, but we're glad you're here. And you've been on DAV as well. How was that been going?
Yeah, it was really good. It was tiring, but shukr, it was fine.
Alhamdulillah. Well, welcome back. I'm glad you're home and safe and sound and all these things. What we're sharing, in case you missed it, was we're saying what is something which you have achieved, which you're proud of. You could obviously mention DAV, or something, if you've not got something on your mind, something which you want, which you've not got yet, which you're working towards. So what about it? Is it something you've got, which you're proud of, that you've achieved recently, Amna?
Well, I've gone through a lot of my exams and assessments, which I was quite nervous about. So I think I'm glad that I've done most of them now.
Well, congratulations. Inshallah, they lead to better things as they are designed to, and you keep growing, inshallah. And keep up the DOV. It's great to be active and out and about. So great work. Alhamdulillah. Ashal, salamu alaikum again.
Wa alaikum salam.
Ashal, tell us something which you have achieved, which you would like to share with the group, or something which, if you've not got something like that, something which you're working towards.
Can it be about school?
It can be about anything. It doesn't have to be about anything in particular. It could be anything which you're happy with.
In school, everyone in year 8, that's where my year is, we've all been doing something towards Islam, because obviously what's been happening in Palestine, we've been trying to support, and we're going through different religious things, so Shia and Sunni, and we combined it, and I'm representing as number 1 Islam student in the whole of year 8.
Wow. So people will look at you and ask you questions?
And ask me questions, yeah.
Oh my God.
I'm taking interviews with staffs and students tomorrow.
Wow. That's cool. Good luck, inshallah.
Thanks.
Make sure you already make us proud, but keep making us proud, okay?
Yeah.
Very good. Azan, assalamu alaikum, bro.
Wa alaikum salam.
How are you keeping? Are you well?
Yes, sir.
Have you got something on your mind that you have achieved which you want to share with the group? And if not, something that maybe you're working towards? It can literally be, I'm playing FIFA and I can't get past professional and I'm going to do it. It can be anything. But not that.
My goal is trying to get a grade 8.
Is to do what, sorry?
To get a grade 8 or grade 9.
Nice. Okay. Inshallah. In what subject?
In maths.
In maths. Are you close? Can you feel it in front of you?
Yes.
All right. Well, and by the way, do you know what you've got to do to get there?
Yes.
Well, good luck, inshallah. Keep working, keep trying. Hard effort always pays off somehow, right? So all the best, bro. Inshallah it goes well. Fazil, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. How are you?
Alhamdulillah. Fazil. First of all, how's your father?
And he's good.
I'm so happy he's your dad. It makes me so happy. Alhamdulillah. Did you say salam from me?
I don't know why I forgot.
Oh my goodness.
I think I did say to my grandfather, but I forgot to say to my father.
Oh, that's nice. You know, the first ever time I read Majalis, it was with your grandfather.
Oh.
Like is in Idara Jafriya, my local center, and they'd ask me, do you know what actually happened? So I'm young, I was like,
Amen.
Assalamu alaikum. Who said that? I'm not sure that is. But listen, Fazil. So your grandfather came to Idara. It's my center I'm from, right? And then the Muharram before that, I had been told, Abbas, you're allowed to read 15 minutes of a majlis. Just 15. Good luck, inshallah. First time reading in my center. I've read in other centers, but not my home ground, okay? So I realized that, okay, if I do well, they'll ask me more, right? So I said, okay, I'm going to read more than 15. So I decided to just read. And there's Maulana who came, Maulana Sadiq Hassan is a very prestigious and respectable alim. And I'm reading, and he's looking at me like, like, what is the time? Like, who is this kid? Like, why is he reading more and more? What's going on? And I'm really enjoying it. People are enjoying it. We're doing really well. And then at the end, I read like 35 minutes of the points he was going to mention. So after it, people are like, Abbas. And I'm like, oh, I know. The next time they're like, Abbas, you're reading 5 days in Muharram. Get ready, 45 minutes each. And I'm like,
my God.
okay, all right. And when I went there, your grandfather was reading the 10 days. So in the first majlis, I read, and after he was like, why is he reading this many minutes? He came to me like, what's going on? And then I said to him that, Maulana, Agha, I'm going to house, I'm studying, these are some of my notes. He's like, okay, keep it up. I'm keeping an eye on you, inshallah. I get it. And now every time he sees me, he's like, Abbas, how's your studies going? And I'm like, oh, Agha, it's going well, inshallah. I'm doing my best. So I'm glad. But you have to send salam to your father as well. He's my friend, okay?
Okay.
Okay, Fazil, this is your homework. Okay, Wasi, Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
How are you doing, bro? You okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
What's the latest with you? Is there anything you've achieved recently which you are happy with or that you're working towards at the moment?
Yeah, I'm just happy that I've completed all my mock exams.
Amazing. Well, congratulations. Was it hard in the end? Was it easy? How did you find it?
It was tough, but I'm just happy that regardless of what I got, I'm just happy to have completed it.
You're all right. You got through it. You did it now. And whatever happens, happens. But you did the most important thing, which is everything that you can do. So well done. I mean, whatever happens, happens. But you're feeling proud of yourself, right?
Yeah.
Good. Inshallah, the next time you get exams, like, you'll kill it because you know you've been through it. You know what it takes, and you know that you've got it in you. So well done, Wasim. Good work, bro.
Thank
And finally, Zain. Assalamu alaikum, Zain. My mic is with my cousins. I can speak next lesson. No problem. But firstly, then you've got to mention, firstly, Assalamu alaikum, alaikum salam. What's been happening? Is there anything you've achieved recently? And you can write in the chat some achievement you have done which you are proud of, which you're working towards. Is there anything like that, Zen? I'll read in the messages right now if there's anything you'd like to say. We're just sharing little wins here and there that we've got. I got 2 grade 9s in my mocks. Well done, Zen. Good work. 2 grade 9s are good. They're very good, in fact. Mashallah. And you're going to get 2 more grade 9s. You're going to try your best for the exams. You have to say you promise you're going to try your best for the rest of them. I need to see it, or I'm not going to continue. I'm just going to just drink chai the whole time. Are you going to try your best for the next ones? Inshallah, I'll try even harder. Very good. I was worried you might not. You'll try even harder. That's the spirit, Zen. Well done. Great work. And I've just seen Arij join. Arij, assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks.
So we are sharing achievements we have done this week or things that we are working towards in the future that we're targeting. Have you got anything like that you'd like to share with the group?
I did well in the exam.
Feeling happy with yourself?
Yeah,
What was the exam?
maths.
Maths. All you guys are doing maths. Why? I mean, do you like maths, Arij?
Yeah. I'm Taha on my mom's phone.
Ah, Taha. Oh, I didn't. The name was not there. That's fine. But yeah, like maths is your thing, right?
Yeah.
Well, good luck to you, inshallah, Taha. Hopefully it goes well.
Thank you.
And I hope you get those grades that you need to, inshallah. So thank you so much. Is anyone who I missed out, by the way? I don't think so. It's interesting that I asked you for like your achievements, and almost all of you mentioned like grades, which is curious. I mean, even I don't know, like you tried a new food is an achievement, or England winning the Euros. I don't know, like it can be anything in life. The most important thing is that you have growth, and growth is when you're at one stage and you can see the capacity to become something new and you do it. So it can be getting a grade you didn't get before. It can be getting the same grade you got before as well. It can be exams, but it could be I was a good friend this week. My friend was in a difficult situation and they called me or they spoke to me and I was there for them. Or I made a new friend this week. Like these are all massive achievements, but of course, studies are important too. But remember, you know how in maths and English you have a different subject, like math is a subject and any other subject. In your lives, you are the subject. It's you. So the more that you grow, the better a grade you become. And grow doesn't mean you get grades yourself. It means you become a better person. So Inshallah, I hope all of you continue with your academic achievements and your school, but also you continue growing yourself, inshallah. Fazil, I've just read that you were absolutely smashing in Arabic. That is great. Inshallah, you also increase in your understanding as well. All right, guys. So there was a mission which was set last week, and the mission was, anyone remember what the mission was?
To find out why there are still bad things going on, even though they're prophets, imams, and the Quran.
Thank you, Fazil. So the main issue is if Allah has sent specifically prophets who are there to guide us, and they've all brought books, or many of them brought books, or they brought guidance, and they have successes like imams as well, and this religion, and like they're amazing and they're perfect, and yet there's still bad things which are happening in the world. So I asked you was have a think about why is there still bad things that people do or that's happening, even though Allah has sent these amazing prophets. So if you had before you unmute, raise your hand just so you know in the chat, so I can see if you have an idea or if you had a chance to think about it, or even if while I'm talking now you had something comes to mind. Why do bad things happen if Allah has sent prophets? You can even use the chat to mention, but right now I see 4 hands raised, so I will go to them. Abdullah, I did see your hand first. So Abdullah, why do you think that bad things happen even though Allah has sent prophets to stop bad things happening?
I think that bad things happen is from influence from people who are already led astray, or from like a certain group which is not as nice or not as supporting to
Yeah.
minority religions or other changes. So when you get influenced by these people, you might be like one day, oh yeah, I love Islam and like everything's so good in it. Then the next day, when you get influenced by it and you get bad company, it's like you're literally stopping your connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Islam. And also there's a saying that having good company is good, but having bad company is bad. So even if you have bad company, you shouldn't even have any company. Just be alone.
Good, very good place to start us off. So even if there are good people out there, like prophets or imams, or just good people, like you mentioned, if they're not around you, if they're not the people who are influencing you, if they're not your company, but you have bad company, you're gonna become like those around you. Exactly. S Ali, alaikum salam. S Ali, I don't. What's your name? Like which Ali is this? Which S Ali? Mention your name, please, just so I'm super
I think
sure.
it might be Mustafa.
Is it Mustafa?
I think it might be Mustafa.
S Ali, please identify yourself. Just so we know in the chat.
Maybe it's Shazam.
Could be Shazib as well. That's the problem. I don't know. Please use the
Yeah,
chat.
it is Mustafa.
Mustafa, assalamu alaikum. Very good to have you here, bro.
Alaikum assalam.
Alhamdulillah. Okay. Ashal, I see your hand raised. What is your idea? So we've got a good point from Abdullah that it's people that can influence you. Why do people do bad things even though there's prophets, in your opinion?
So do bad things happen right now? Is it because like we we go to the bad paths of life? So like not reading the Quran, not reading namaz, and we skip all of those things just to go through our friends, and then all these bad things come back to us. And then once people realize that they've done something wrong, so like let's say they've skipped they lied to read namaz and to go out with their friends. So like even if you still go with your friends, bad things still happen, and it comes back to you because you're not respecting the rules of Islam that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given.
Yeah, and like you very wisely said, actually, it's on you, right? It's on me and you. So if we choose to follow these things, we can. If you choose not to, it's not going to have an effect on us, right? It's on us. That's really helpful, because if people say things like, why would Allah let this happen, or it's not fair, it's like, yeah, but remember, we are all free to choose what we want. in our actions. No one can force us in our amal, our actual actions. We might not have the best options around us, we might have people influencing us, but really, you and I, all of us here in this chat and everyone listening, we're all just free people trying to do what we think is right. And that means that we're responsible for what we do. So if we hang out with bad people or we don't follow good things, it's going to have an effect on us. Good teamwork from both of you because those points link really well. Let's bring in the sisters. Khadija, what do you think?
So I think that people do bad things because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us all a free will. We're not robots and we're not forced to do anything. We have a choice to do good or do bad. And so some people might take that opportunity and their powers, well, not powers, but their, I don't really know how to explain it, but their powers to use it in a bad way and against people, and then bad things happen because of the people, and if it's natural, it might just be Allah's tests.
So we have tests as well, but I think the point you mentioned before is like power is a good word, but also like ability or capacity. What I'm trying to say is you reap what you sow. Whatever your hands put forward, you get something back. Like if you put something forward, you get something back. If you smile, you get happiness back. If you're angry, you'll get anger back. Like it's part of what you put forward. That's the part that I got from that point. And yes, it's true, and it links well to Ashraf's point that it's on you, it's on me and you.
Can I add something?
Of course you can.
So as I said, that bad things happen. If we do good things, maybe these good things will come back to you. So you read the Quran, you read namaz, and you have a dream to be a footballer or become a doctor, and all these things will come in your way. And like, I don't know who it was, but saying that we have a choice to do good or bad, and Allah knows what's best for us. And if we go down these good paths, good thing, Allah can protect the good people who follow the laws of Islam and reading the Quran, reading namaz.
Allah will help us based on what choice we do. I agree with you. And if you choose bad, it's against Allah. But if you choose good, like He wants us to choose good so much that there's so many chances to do good deeds around us. Good. And a point that I want to add in the mix before I go to Fazil and then Amina is that you yourself are not bad, but there might be influences around you that might push you towards bad or try and convince you to do bad things. So it could be bad friends, like the first point. It could be, temptations or ideas or anything, but those things are outside of you. They're not you necessarily. You might sometimes have that voice inside of you which tells you to do good or bad, and there is that voice which might say to do a bad thing inside of you, but even that's not you, like who you are. That's just a voice in you that you have to learn to control and allow it to only be used for some things and not listen to it and be swayed by it when it comes to doing right and wrong. So for example, if you have a voice in you which always says sleep, 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 I want to sleep. Guys, I'm not really tired, I'm just using an example, like sleep. When it's time to pray, that voice is saying something which is going to be bad for me. But when it's normal in life, like when it's bedtime or when you're having a nap, I advise napping to all of you. It's a very useful superpower. Or if like you just are tired and your body needs rest, then you should listen to that voice. The voice itself is not bad. It depends on what it's pushing you towards doing. And that's where your reason comes in. Yeah. So that's from your points. Fazil, what do you think?
Why do people don't listen to the Imam? They just think that they don't care about the day of judgment, and they're all just stuck to the world. That's why with the greedy people, they don't want to pay the khums, the zakat, the sadaqah, because they're all stuck to the world. They want all the money, and they think that all my money is going to be gone. But why? One of the imams says that when you pay khums or sadaqah, you what was it? You don't decrease your wealth; it increases your wealth when you pay zakat, sadaqah, or khums. As in the wealth is the reward that you will get. It's not like as if you just get some more money again after you pay khums. It's the reward that one of the imams is saying is the wealth.
Yeah, that's a very useful point for me personally, and for everyone I hope who's listening to you. Sometimes we don't want to give money because we want to keep it, and that could be a bad thing to not give it to someone who deserves it or who needs it, for example. And I'm just hoarding it and keeping it and not using it, or using it for bad things. But no, then there comes that voice in you, and these imams reminding you of the benefit. So it's a very useful point. Definitely. Thank you, Fazil. Amina, why don't you close us off? 'Cause I don't see any other new hands raised. Why do you think people do bad things like this?
Well, it's it's always human nature to make mistakes, and although these bad things happen, they can make you realize where you should actually be, where you should kind of change these things. And so, although it's a lot easier to be bad as we have free will, most people don't acknowledge the benefits of even doing small good deeds. And it's up to us to perceive the world in a particular way and to follow what's been given to you. So the imams and the prophets aren't there to just be a sort of a story or for us to just admire, but they should be our role models who we should try and act like.
That's a great point. I really like this point. The imams are real, like they're alive with us. And if we make them stories when it comes to those doing right and wrong, we'll only listen to stories, and stories aren't very convincing when you're making a hard choice. Because you might forget one, or you might not understand the message of it. You might just think as a student it's not relevant now. But when, like you mentioned, when they are living and alive, they're more important. Could you mention again, Amna, the first part of your answer, please? Because it was very interesting. The first part of what you said.
So it's human nature to make mistakes, but really it's a sort of turning point in your life. And we always hear about people who, have made these sort of errors but have changed from it.
Yeah, this is a nice point, because sometimes we do things which are wrong and we learn from them and we don't repeat them. But not only that, we become better because we know what it's like to not do that thing again. Like, we know what it's like to win at that test. Now, whether it comes up again or not, doesn't matter. We've got that quality now. And like I said, all of us, we are the subjects. You are the main core of your life story. It's you. So if you are going through life not doing bad things and learning what it feels like to reject bad decisions, you're becoming a much better decision maker. So whatever comes your way, you've got good experience behind you of knowing what it feels like to say no to something haram or something wrong or something harmful or something mean, or something that's not virtuous. You know what it's like to do that. And there can be benefit in doing them to never do them again. Remember that narration we looked at a while ago from Imam Ali al-Islam, that Allah likes a sin which causes a person to be ashamed more than he likes a good deed which makes a person proud. Because once you do that sin, now you become ashamed of it and you don't do it again, or you try not to do it again. Allah loves that how you react to the parts of yourself that you want to change. Really lovely points here. I want to mention what Imam Ali says about this. So all of you have said the right call, which is it's on us. We do bad things. It's not on the prophets or the imams. We do those bad things and we can choose to follow them. The imam, in his first sermon, which we're going through every week, breaks it down for us from the beginning of time until now. Why did all these generations and civilizations, the Romans, the Sassanids, the Ethiopians, the Nubians, the pagan Arabs, those in the Dark Ages, those in the native countries, why did they do bad things? He breaks it all down. Okay, so he says, after Allah created Prophet Adam, he chose some prophets from the line of Prophet Adam to take revelation and carry his trust, so that people, for example, will follow the prophets. But in the course of time, many people changed Allah's trust with them. They ignored the prophets and they started taking competitors alongside Allah. So over time, they were stopped listening to the prophets, and they took competitors, meaning they built idols, for example, and worshipped those idols instead of Allah. Then Shaitan turned them away, knowing Allah, and he kept the people away from worship. He stopped them from worshipping God. So Allah then sent more messengers and a series of prophets to try and get those pledge, that promise back. That promise meaning that you have to worship Allah. He sent more prophets to remind us to worship Him. And these prophets were sent, and some of them were preaching, and they were showing the hidden virtues of this world, Allah's signs and wisdom. They used the example of the sky raised over them and the earth underneath them, and living which they have, and death which makes them die, and illnesses that turn them ill. And they brought all these examples. And Allah never allowed there to be a case where there's no prophet. There's always going to be a prophet deputized by Him. And there was always a book on the earth from Him. There was always an argument for Him. And these messengers, they did not feel sad that there were only a few of them. They did not feel sad that there were many enemies against them, because they would always leave a successor after them, and that successor would succeed the one after them. And in this way, time passed and time rolled on. Imam Ali says, and fathers passed away and their sons took power. Yani, mothers and fathers died, and daughters and sons carried on the same way. What way is that? Not listening to the prophets. And it's only then that Allah sent the final messenger to remind the people of His promise and to complete the line of prophets. And that was our Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ajil farajahum. So in history, all these prophets who came were trying to do the same thing, which is remind us of Allah in case we forget. But like Imam Ali says, unfortunately, most people just didn't follow. They didn't. They either ignored them, or they made idols, or they made competitors, but they did not follow Allah. And it's a result of this, Allah kept sending more and more prophets, and more people didn't listen to them until we come to the need for a final prophet to bring all these messages together. And that's our holy prophet. So in Imam Ali's eyes, it is shaitan and people. First, it's people not wanting to follow prophets and not wanting to listen and wanting to forget. And then shaitan persuading them, taking that 1 second that they give up and pulling them towards bad decisions until they are sometimes attacking prophets and opposing them. And that's what happens time after time, father after father, son after son, that this keeps happening. So that's Imam Ali Islam's understanding of that. Any questions or comments about how the Imam describes that which come up to any of you? No, I see you, Mustafa, in the video. So, and then I see you disappearing. So, assalamu alaikum.
I have
Go
a
ahead.
point.
Go ahead, Abdullah. Yeah, go ahead.
So when you said that before, like there'll always be like father after father, son after son. They'll always follow the same basis. When one person from their family just adopts the idea. So in Prophet Nuh's case, his wife and son, I think, didn't accept the boat or Islam. So, but before them, in the before like Prophet Noah, like Islam, like before their family, weren't they followers of Islam at that time?
Prophet Noah's family, you mean?
Yeah, this is like you said, like if one family, like one group of the family does this, then the other group of the family will do that too.
So what we have, and it's a good point, is when you have a culture or a community where people are all living together, children tend to just follow what their parents are doing. And sometimes what they'll do is the parents doing a good thing, they'll copy it. Parents doing a bad thing, they'll copy it too. So in those societies, the parents were following idols because it was such a long time before the prophet before that they weren't following them. And something you find, however, is sometimes from bad families you can have a good person, and sometimes from good families you can have a bad person. So, for example, from the family of Prophet Nuh, he himself, his father, did follow Allah. Right, Prophet Nuh's line. We have in narrations that the prophets are not children of those who don't worship Allah, but his wife didn't. His wife didn't. Okay. He is now a good person from around him, a bad community. He has his own family. But in his family, and he's a prophet and he's the best prophet and he's a great, person, you've got his son, who is now a bad person from a good family, to the extent where Prophet Noah is literally looking at him and the flood is rising and he's like, my son, let's go, like I can save you. And his son's like, no. So Allah reveals the verse which says, Noah, he is not your son anymore, because he has lost that right. He's taken away from himself by his actions. Meaning, in answer to your question, sometimes a person can come from a good family and because of their own actions be a bad child of that family. And similarly, we can, if there's a family which is used to doing sin or wrongdoing, it's very easy from them for a child to be enlightened as long as they seek it from a different place. Okay. I hope that does that answer your question, Abdullah?
Yeah, so like I understand. So but would it still be correct to say son after son, father after father?
We could say what, sorry?
Like in this context, will it be okay to say like where you said son after son, father after father in this context?
It would be correct generally, not for every single case, in general. So the Imam is speaking in general, fathers and sons, father and sons came after sons. Yes, so not every single individual, but in general, that's how the communities were.
Okay, thank you.
No worries. So we've got general and particular. General means like in general how we all are. Particular is if there's an exception to the rule. So that's that. Khadija, I see your hand raised. Is there anything that you wanted to add or ask?
I was going to ask a question, but it's not really linked to what we've been discussing.
What is it linked to?
Well, it's linked to Allah and idols, I guess.
Yeah, go ahead.
So if Allah doesn't want us worshipping anyone else, and if he doesn't want us to, or if he finds that very little is enough for him, then why does he want us to pray 5 times a day and worship him?
Good. Anyone got any answers for that before I give my opinion? Anyone got any ideas of why Allah wants this from us?
Yeah, I think so. Because as Khadija mentioned, like in her example of 5 salahs every day, that would be because if you do it once and like as you said, very little is enough for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but it wouldn't be satisfying if you're like someone who's the head of a major like culture or community, that like you say that very little is fine for you, but only people are like taking advantage out of this and only doing very little. So like you could do like one namaz of salah and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would be pleased with it.
Yeah.
But you could just end up doing one rakat salah every single day. To that point, you don't even like care about doing it because you're doing so little and not even like putting effort into it.
I hear you. I hear you. So it's about what you put into it in addition to how you're judged. Like it's about Allah wants to see us put effort or try, for example. I do get that point. Mustafa, anything you wanted to add?
I wanted to say that how we have to represent our religion, to prove that we're representatives of our religion, we need to actually act, and the action is like the worship that we do to Allah, because that shows how like dedicated we are. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I get that. So we have to be good ambassadors. Khadija, in my opinion, if I think of your really good question, if someone says to you to eat food or to drink water, they might say it to benefit us, but if we do it, it benefits us. Really, it's I'm gonna not starve. I'm gonna not be thirsty. It's for me. And the person saying it, like your parents or the person in the dinner lady, I don't know, they just want what they think is best for you. Okay. Allah does not need us to worship him. Even the little that he asks of us, he doesn't need it from us. Like if we don't pray, he doesn't become any less great. If we do pray, he doesn't become any more amazing. Allah is perfect already. But there's something which happens to us when we pray, which Allah wants for us to experience. That peace that we feel, that organization that we feel, that order. For example, the fact that we become ambassadors for the religion. But more importantly, before anyone else, praying to Allah makes you fulfill your own purpose, because now you are learning about Him, you're learning about His creation, you're able to try to discover Him in your own way and learn more about yourself in that way. Do you remember ages ago we looked at that hadith, the one who knows themselves knows their Lord? What it might mean is, and one of you mentioned this, the more that you are praying, the more that you are learning about yourself and Allah at once. So my answer to you is, Allah did not want people to worship idols, because the moment they worship an idol, they lose that journey, that beautiful journey that He wants us to go on. And they lose it by taking away from themselves. And He wants us to not take away from ourselves something which is so sweet. And there's nothing sweeter than real, sincere worship. Worship which can be prayer, worship which can be giving charity, worship which can be a smile to somebody. These are all worship. But He wants us to feel those things. That's how I would answer your question. Anything you want to add, Khadija, before we move on? Because you did ask a question. Anything that you would like to add on to your question, or any answers which make sense to you or which you'd like to share?
I think they were all very clear answers, and I now understand why we need to pray 5 times a day and everything.
Alhamdulillah. Well, all the best, inshallah, and thank you for the question. Okay, guys, let's dive in to some sayings of Nahjal Balagha from Imam Ali alayhi salam. In some ways linked to what we're talking about, and some are completely different. So let me firstly share my screen and we get started. So we're on like week 6, which is rather amazing. Okay, can I see participants? Yeah. Can I see the chat? No. Okay, fine. Let's get started. Here are 5 sayings from the Imam. What we're taking from the previous part, by the way, just so all of you remember, is that Allah sends us and we are free in our actions, and we are free to do good or bad. But some people in the past did bad things by not listening to prophets and by listening to shaitan, who made it worse. But like we're mentioning, those who did that, they lost, and they were depriving themselves of something very beautiful, which is worship of Allah. And we want to make sure we're making the right kind of decisions to take the most that we can from this little time we have on this earth. And whatever there is to get on this earth, going through the path of Allah gives us a lot. So don't take that away from yourself. That's a little summary. Okay. Question for all of you. What should you do if someone tells you Imam Ali said something? What would be your immediate reaction if someone said, Imam Ali said this? What are you thinking immediately?
I would think, like if he said something bad, I wouldn't believe him, because Imam Ali alayhi salam is infallible. He can't like do anything bad or do a wrongdoing to someone with a speech, because one, that would make him, like he said, good speech is better than is like way much better than bad speech. And then if he said bad things to someone, then he would be a hypocrite and he would do a sin, and that's not possible for an imam to do.
He's the Imam. He's not going to say something that is going to cause harm to you, for example, right?
Yeah. So
I agree with you. He's Imam Ali. We know who he is. We know the kind of person he is.
So I was gonna say, now you know, like, but you could also think that he might have said it for like some specific reason. If the person he was talking bad about is like doing something like wrong to another person,
Yeah.
like bullying or like emotionally like harassing them.
Yeah.
So that means it would be like fine in that case. And if Imam Ali said something good, I'd be like very happy, because I know that this person is telling the truth, and that they've been good company, meaning Imam Ali alayhi salam.
So this point about them telling the truth, I would like to pick up on in a second. But let me first go to Amina. Amina, if someone came to you and said Imam Ali said something, what's your immediate reaction?
So I would also see whether it was reasonable or not. But also, even though they might claim to be a primary source, because they said Imam Ali said something to them, I would still want to go and ask him myself if it was obviously possible. If
Mhm.
I'd go to Imam Ali.
Yeah, or if he really did say it at all. If he really did say it, like how do we know that he said something? Just because someone tells you the Imam said something, that might be their opinion or their understanding, but who knows if that's what the Imam actually said? So you've got to think about it a little bit and obviously accept it if it is the Imam what he said. Khatija, what's your reaction?
So in my so first of all, in my madrasa class, we learned that Imam Ali was obviously born in the Kaaba, and so he was born in one of maybe the most or one of the most important places on the entire earth, and so he can't really do anything wrong or bad, as I can't remember who said, but someone said. And so as adding to that, I wouldn't really believe the person if it was something bad, but if it was something good and it was advice to someone, then it would obviously be true, because Imam Ali is on this earth to be an example.
I agree. And if it's the Imam saying it, there must be some wisdom in it. Fazil, did you have your hand raised?
No.
That's okay. So the point that this is about is it's about not just what the Imam said, it's about if someone else is saying that the Imam said something, what should your reaction be? And what we are discussing is if the Imam says something which I'm not sure what he means, I'm not sure, I will ponder because it's the Imam. But we have to take a step back. Is it even true? So the Imam alayhi salam has says, when you hear a tradition, test it according to the criteria of reason, not that of mere hearing. So it's not enough that you heard something, you have to think about it, because he says, relators of knowledge are numerous, there are many, but those who guard it are few. One of the things this means is that there are many people who say that the Imam said this, they say, but they might not have a reference, they might not even know the Imam actually said it, they might not have an understanding of what the Imam means. Do you see on the screen, I have the reference here, Imam Ali Nahjal Balagha saying 98. You see, I've written that down. Always look for a reference if the Imam has said something, because people should not quote the Imams without giving that proof. And the Imam said the same thing. He says, don't just listen to just hearing. There are many people who hear. I want you to have a criteria when you listen to my words of reason. Think, did he say this? Bring me the reference. Even if it's something which sounds good and sounds nice, always say, I want to think about it. I accept the Imam says it. I want to learn about it, but I would like to know for sure that he did say it. So either I'm going to a book or a scholar or someone to explain where they heard it from. Because what if someone made a mistake and they're misquoting the Imam? You hate it. I hate it when someone says I did something when I didn't really do it, or I said something. This is the Imam we're talking about. We should not misquote him. So the first thing is, when someone comes to you saying the Imam says something, apply your reason as well as listening, so you know, where did he say it? Why did he say it? Think about it. Don't just relay the knowledge, but guard it, the Imam says. Guard this knowledge when it comes to you like it's something precious. Does that make sense to you guys who made points? Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, Abdullah. Okay, good. So use your reason when you get a hadith, a report, and ask, where did it come from? Look for a reference. Okay, next question. Why isn't it important to do both learning and doing? So some people might say learning is really important because you have to learn as much as you can and gain knowledge, and that's fine. And someone might say you have to do a lot and be busy and active and out there. But why do we need both? You're thinking a lot, knowledge and action. Why do we need both of these things?
I think it's because if you like learn about something that you want to achieve or you want to like become, it might mean that you have to like learn about it and then actually think, how are you going to achieve it? Like, say you want to be a professional at this, then you're gonna think about, how will I become a professional at this? Like, if you have all the knowledge in the world and you do nothing, it'd be useless.
It'd be a waste.
Yeah, it'd be useless if like Allah Ta'ala gifted you like the knowledge to everything and you do nothing about it. You don't share it or you don't answer people's like questions about it. Then
Yeah.
then it'll just be like a waste, because if you don't do anything but you know everything, it doesn't even like make sense for you to like exist kind of, because you made
Yeah.
no change, or you didn't help anyone or do anything at all for that matter.
Very good, Abdullah. Very good. Anyone want to add anything? Alhamdulillah. Go ahead, Khadija.
As Abdullah said, that you know, Allah wants us to pass on our knowledge to everyone else, but as well as that, we can't just sit there and learn all the time. We need to go out into the world and experience something. For example, if we just sit in a library and keep looking at book after book after book, then we, as well as gaining knowledge, you can't really contain all that knowledge, because it's quite a bit hard to keep so much information without having it read to you, or that's how I find it. But you could go to a majlis or to a mosque, and you could learn so much more that might not be in a book and someone else's opinion.
Exactly. And even if you go to the majlis, we should then, after the majlis, act or do something by what the scholar said. Because if we're going to majlis after majlis and we're not changing anything in our whole life, what's the point of that majlis? If it doesn't change anything in our hearts or our actions, our behavior, or anything like that, what was the point in the first place? So there's something amazing about action. And remember, if you're really busy and active and playing and experiencing the world, but you're not also gaining knowledge, then sometimes we might do things which are wrong and we would never even know, because we're not using our minds. So we need both. And the Imam agrees. He says the lowest form of knowledge is that which remains on the tongue, which you're just saying. And the most superior form is that which manifests itself through the actions of your limbs and the organs of your body. So, of the body. This is saying 92. If it's something that you just know, maybe you say it, but you don't do anything. But the highest form, the most superior form, is that which becomes part of your limbs and your organs. You start acting and moving and talking and becoming the thing that you believe in. For the Imam, this is the best thing, that you should learn something that makes you change somehow. And he gives examples. Your limbs move, meaning it makes you active, it makes you go somewhere or do something or live. But it comes from knowledge. Don't just leave it, share it. So good, very good, guys. Next one. This is a very important one. If you do something, then have something so that you won't fail. Now, before I ask you to fill in the gap, and you can reread the sentence to make sense, sometimes we get worried about doing things because maybe I might fail. And that maybe that it might just not work out means I'm not even going to try. I'm not going to try because it's not going to work out. It's too hard. And when we get that voice, sometimes we lose motivation to do what we need to do, because we become anxious that, you know what, if it's not going to work out and I'm just going to fail, what is the point of even starting? I'm not going to start. And because of that, we don't get things done sometimes. But the Imam thinks that if you have something in addition to your intention, something to help you, you won't fail. And you can't fail if you have this thing. What do we think the Imam thinks will help us here?
I think confidence, hope, and belief, they all fit. So like, if you do something, then have confidence so that you won't fail. So like, you're sure that you know that's right and that you possibly cannot go wrong. And hope, like you think like, yeah, maybe if I might go wrong, maybe you don't. So it means that like you like hope and believe that you will achieve it, and hopefully like on the first go or after many goes, you eventually will achieve it, what you wanted to do in the first place.
Inshallah, definitely. Good. So, but that's if you have that feeling. If you have that feeling, sometimes we're like, of course I'm gonna do it. Of course England are gonna win the Euros. What? I didn't say anything. But when you say something like that, it's like, of course it's gonna happen. You have that belief. Sometimes we don't have that belief, and in the gap, other voices convince us that you can't do this. You're not good enough. You're not strong enough. You're not clever enough. And because we don't have that confidence sometimes, those voices, which normally, if you're confident, like, well, of course I'm going to do it, you'd get rid of those voices. Now they become really loud because they're in this big gap in your mind. If any of you have ever felt that feeling of, oh, you can't do this way, there are ways of becoming mentally able to forbear and work through that feeling to get back to what you really want to do. So like you mentioned, Abdullah, having hope and confidence and strength are really good ideas of what can stop you having that feeling. But I ask this to all of you, and I see that loads of you, Amna and Taha and Asad and Azan and Fazil, Khatija, Mustafa, Wasiza, and any of you, and obviously anyone who comes in that time. What can you do to not have that feeling anymore where, well, I'm just going to fail? What can help, do you think?
Like emotional support, or like talking to someone, because like I have disability where I can't walk, and like I can't like really like lift anything up. So it's like I sometimes feel like so like demotivated sometimes. I was in a classroom a day, and then I was literally like 5 minutes later, I felt like before I was like so happy, and like 5 minutes later I was just in the classroom like bursting with tears, like for no reason. And then it's like you need like help, or you need like to talk to someone to get that off of your chest, and like to get confident you need a good influence, and you need a good inspiration that might like carry you through your sticky situation.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for sharing, Abdullah. And that's a really good example of where you can become brave, because now you're surrounding yourself with people who you can talk to, who can listen, who can understand you. And you're so right. Sometimes just one conversation, it does so much for you, you know? Um, and everyone's got their own struggles, like you mentioned. You mentioned an example, but everyone's got issues they're dealing with. And the one that you mentioned, people around you should be good friends, and you should seek people. And inshallah, you have people around you who are positive energies to get through your difficulties, because even you, Abdullah, are a good voice for other people when they're going through their difficulties. You are, and you deserve that same thing for yourself. Inshallah, we pray that we can give this to each other, that kind of inspiration. A really beautiful point there. I see Asad's hand raised. Asad, what did you want to add? Asad? Maybe he's coming. Fazil, would you like to go ahead? And then I'll go to Zain's comment in the chat.
I think it would be like if you do something, then have the faith in Allah so that you won't fail. So it's like because if you lose something, so it's like if you have an exam and then you don't pass the exam because Allah knows best for you. Maybe that thing is going to be like if you're moving to a next class, and then because Allah knows everything, He will make you fail, maybe because the next class will teach you things that are too complicated for you to understand. That's why He will make you fail in something.
So there is wisdom in what happens to us. It could be a lesson if you don't get something. But at the same time, Allah can help you to get what is right for you, right? He can be a support for you. And that's a little hint of where the Imam is going with this idea. An example we're talking about is in Zain's comment. Zain says, Islam, I have a general question. How do youths get involved in charity work like you do as Imam? Ali loves children to help others. Zain, you just do it. You just do it. Alaykum salam. You just find a project around you where you live and you just do it. You call them if they are having volunteers. If they are, you show up one day and say, I'd like to help. How can I help? You just have the action. Now, sometimes, like we said before, you might not feel motivated to do that thing. You might not have that confidence. But since you mentioned the question, you do have a wish to get involved and help charities. So you just do it. It really is that simple. It really is that simple. And then later on, like Abdullah beautifully said, if you're having a struggle to help, or you're having a struggle to do what the Imam wants, there are people around you who can be a good voice for you. So that if you're struggling something, you're not struggling alone. And if you want to do something, but you find that you can't do it, that's not who you are. You are that person who has that wish to just be the best that you can be, and try hard and just do good around you. That's who you are. And that you should have people around you who can support that voice more than the other voices. So my advice then is, first, number one, if you have a good intention, just do the action. Number two, have friends like Abdullah around you and others who can encourage you. Imam Ali Islam says in this point, action accompanied by fear for Allah does not fail. How can a thing fail that has been accepted? So for the Imam, fear of Allah here means not that you're scared of God, more that you're aware of him and you don't want to let him down. You want to be close to him. Fear is a good fear here. If you're, fire heats your food for you, but if you're not scared of getting burnt by touching your fingers, you're going to get burnt, but you appreciate the fire because it gives you warmth and heat. In a very similar way, fearing absence from Allah, fearing disobeying Allah, that I'm scared if I turn away from him, what I will become. I'm scared if I ignore him. I'm scared if I don't pray for him. I'm scared for myself if I'm wrong to Allah. If you have that feeling where I just want to do right by God, I just want to do right by him, I want him to be happy with me, and I want to do I want to at least try my best, and that's enough for me. Imam says, then if you do that, how can a thing fail that's already been accepted? The moment you get that feeling of I want to do a good deed, it's accepted because you had a good intention, and Allah accepts your intentions before he accepts your actions. You can even want to do a good thing, but let's say you can't do it because you're not able to, but you want to do that good thing. You're rewarded for it as if you had done that thing because you have the intention. And in the same way to all of you, if you're scared that I can't do something, maybe I'll fail or I feel bad if I can't get something done. If you want to do that thing for Allah, that's enough for him to accept the deed. And how can you fail if Allah has accepted you already? Yeah? Any comments on this before we move on to the next one?
I have something to say. So
Go ahead, Abdullah.
I can do any action I want, and I can have a good intention for it, and if Allah accepts it, and it can fail if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as I don't remember who, they don't fail a test, you fail a test in the next class that you didn't manage to make it into, that class probably would have had bad influence or bad company around you. But Allah knows everything. So how can it a thing fail? But there's been accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Anything can be accepted by anyone. You're doing something bad and you doesn't ever know about it, and no one else can stop you, but they can accept you. So would that mean Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will accept it, that if you think doing something bad and actually commit to do it? So will that mean
that Allah accepts you for the way that you are? He accepts each and every single one of us without condition. He accepts us. Allah will not stop loving you even if you do something wrong and you want to come back. He will not stop loving you. And even if you do something wrong, but you regret doing something wrong, you have the feeling that I just wish I didn't do that, I shouldn't have done that, I know it's wrong. He accepts that feeling too. And if you then repent and you turn back to him and say, Allah, please forgive me, I accept I did wrong, then he says out of his mercy, you cannot believe that you cannot believe that Allah cannot forgive you. You cannot turn back. There's always a road back to you. And Allah wants us to always know that there's that way back to him always. That doesn't mean we should do bad things. It means that if we do bad things, we should turn back to him and believe there's a chance for us. And it should also mean that we should not want to do bad things because he's so good to us. What did he not do for us that we're now going to go away from him? What the one who lost Allah, who hasn't got him, what did they find? And the one who actually has Allah, what do you lose? As Imam Hussein says. Okay, Fazil, is your hand raised for this point or for something from before? Just so I know.
Sorry, I just left my hand up.
That's okay. Next point. When is it better to pray instead of sleeping? And when is it better to sleep instead of praying? What do we think? One of them is really obvious.
When is it better to pray instead of sleeping is immediately your wajib salah, so fajr, everything else. So
Exactly. When it's time to pray and to Allah, it's actually fajr time, for example, and you're sleepy, it's better to pray to Allah because that's the time which is wajib. For those of you who are baligh, it is obligatory on you to pray. I think all of you are. I don't know. Is you have to pray because it's Allah's. It's what Allah expects from all of us. But when is it better? That's good. Part one, correct. Khadija, when is it better to sleep instead of praying? When is it better that one person's sleep is better than another person's prayer?
Well, it's a bit confusing, this one, because Allah would rather you praying quite well. In my opinion, it's better to sleep instead of praying when you're supposed to be sleeping. Like, Allah doesn't need you to be praying all night, every single night.
Yeah.
To know that you love Him. Allah needs you to rest and take care of your body as well as praying when you need to. And although people say it's better to pray during the night as well as your wajib prayers, you still need to get some rest. And so maybe from, I don't know, maybe 9 to 12, maybe rest, and then this time to this time pray, and then go back to sleep instead of praying all night.
Good, very good point. Very good point. You need to rest to pray, definitely. So thank you, Abdullah. Thank you, Khadija. Was there anyone else who's not spoken who wanted to make a point about this one? No? Okay. So Imam Ali Islam's answer to this question is that sleeping in a state of firm belief is better than praying in a state of doubtfulness. Now, what does this mean? Someone came to me and said, Imam, there are enemies of yours, people who are trying to kill you, and they're doing really evil deeds, but by the way, they pray a lot. Surely their praying is really good for them, even though they're enemies of you. And the Imam says, no, sleeping when you have belief, like we do, is better than them praying when they have doubtfulness. Doubtfulness meaning what? They doubt who is the Imam, who should they follow. They don't even know Imam Ali Islam is the Imam of their time. Because they don't have that firm belief, it's better for you to sleep and you get more rewards than them praying, because they have not worked on themselves and they've not made themselves honest. And when you're honest, your sleep is more pure. And when you're dishonest, your prayer can be working against you. So many people fought against Imam Hussein, who prayed. Some even prayed behind him. So many people fought against Imam Hussein and they read Quran. They paid their zakat, but they were fighting against the Imam of their time, which is, you can't do that. You can't fight against your Imam. It's one of the worst things in the world a person could do. And to actually raise your weapon against the Imam, terrible. Same thing for these people who were known as the Khariji, were doing the same thing. They were fighting against the Imam on the battlefield. And people were like, yeah, but they're praying a lot. Imam's like, it doesn't matter. You sleeping when you have true belief and you've worked on your heart to be strong is so much more important to me, he's saying, than them praying all night when they don't even know who their Imam is. They don't even know what the truth is. So that's an example to all of you about Allah looks at what's inside, not what's outside. Okay. Last question. How can we be close to the prophets today? The prophets who have all passed away and are buried in different places. How can we be close to them in our lives today, right now? Khadija, what do you think? How can we be close to the prophets today?
Well, you can't really be close to them physically, but mentally you can be close to them by talking to them. You don't need to have a conversation with them face to face, but you can still talk to them in du'as, and you could also, do what they have believed in, as in salah and good reading Quran and everything.
Definitely. So the things that they have done, and also you can talk to them because they're still part of your lives. And in many ways, our holy prophet is still alive. Not that he's alive on this earth, but his message is alive, his spirit is alive. He's in heaven right now, or he's in Barzakh right now. His book of Quran is still continuing, it's eternal, everyone is reading it. His imams, of them, there is an imam now who's alive, who's the inheritor of his knowledge. So don't think they are completely nothing to do with us. But like you mentioned, dua and reading is helpful. Abdullah, how can we be close to the prophets today?
Can I say a point?
Yeah, of course.
So I think that what could be like really good for this point is if we consider and take in whatever the prophets or imams put down for us to pick up. So like on the night of Mi'raj, we saw that like praying is super important, and you can have du'as in your prayer. But I mean, like you can like physically, I mean, like figuratively connect to the Prophet if you do things that he put down for us to pick up. So like now you've done the prayer, now you can like do du'as and follow the teachings and sayings of the prophets that are given to us in like many sources like Nahjal, Balagha, like other trusted books like the Quran and stuff.
And this is exactly what Imam Ali Islam says. He says, this is that point, the persons most attached to the prophets are those who know most what the prophets have brought. So it's not even living close to them, it's knowing what they have brought. So for example, du'as, sayings, letters, sermons, teachings, that's the one who knows them the most. If you know what they have brought, so you know their book, you know their sayings, you know their ideas, then you're even close to them, because some people lived in the time of the prophets and they didn't even care for them, they fought against them. Doesn't matter, you know them more in the way that you know them. More than that, you talk to them, just like Khadija mentioned. You can speak to the Prophet, especially our holy Prophet, build a relationship, get to know who our holy Prophet is. And I assure you, when I say he's alive, I mean he's more living than some people around you, because he, in speaking to him and in doing dua and asking Allah to be close to him and going to his grave and going to the grave of his family, you can get to know what kind of person he is. And when his birthday comes and his day of his death comes, you would feel that this is someone close to you who has been born or who has died, and you'll start feeling happy for him and sad for him because you know him. And I encourage all of you to look at things this way. And that's why, oh, by the way, more next week, inshallah. That's why your mission for next week is to find something new about our Prophet Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which you didn't know before. So if Imam Ali alayhi salam is right, that you know your Imam, your Prophet, by knowing what they have brought. What has your Prophet brought? Either something he has said, something he has done, some story about him, but it has to be something you didn't know before. Don't bring me a story you knew. That is your mission. Again, if you're able to do it for next week, bring something new about the Holy Prophet. Okay, that's it. Any questions about the mission or anything in general for today? If we're good, Mustafa, you answer the question? Anything you were going to say or no?
I'm fine. Thank you.
Fine. Alhamdulillah.
Can I say something?
Go ahead, Fazil.
In the first lesson, you gave us a presentation which had all the sayings. Can you do that in the email? Can you do that again, please? Because that was very helpful.
So you can read the sayings over. For today's sayings or for all of them?
I think for all of them.
I can do. What I can do is put them all together in one slide. Should I do it now? I want to do it at the end when we finish.
Yes, that's okay.
Or we could do it now. Let me see about it. Okay, Fazil, thank you for mentioning it. Wesley, that's fine. I've seen your comment, no problem at all. And that's it. Thank you so much, guys. I'll see you next week. Thank you. Great points. And inshallah, I look forward to your comments about the Holy Prophet next week. That's it. Bye, everyone. Ma'asalam. Khuda Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz.
Thank you so much, guys. Bye-bye. Be safe, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
في أمان الله.
بولايتك يا علي